it bounced, he's controlled it. He could have made a cup of tea with a few biscuits, dunked it, drunk it, and then we probably still would have let him have a shot. It was that bad. We let him have that much time. He sort of chested it down. It was like, what's the time, mate? What got for dinner tonight? Chest, bang, it's gone in. We're 1-0 down after 45 seconds. We had enough time to boil the kettle and make a cup of tea, and he did, before we could actually unleash the strike. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Another defeat for Oxford United, and another defeat in which it now looks like this season could be over if we were wishing for a successful one. A 2-0 defeat for Oxford United against a good Fleetwood side, a very physical Fleetwood side, but for Oxford United now, I think the confidence has gone. I think that the players' confidence is just dropped. I think the fans are literally on their last lives of confidence now. The management, I'm guessing they are in the same situation, in the same boat as us, with their confidence. And the performance today was probably one of the worst we've seen this season. And we're now 6 defeats out of 8. We have got some home games in there, but I've heard people say let's judge it off the home games. But let's just remember as well, there's no fans in the stadium for home games, so what's that difference going to be? Is there going to be a big difference for home fans when they are allowed back into stadiums? Will we see a difference when they're not into stadiums? We have won a game at home this season against MK Dons in the league this season, obviously, but then we did lose to Sunderland at home this season as well. Well, obviously we have got Rochdale on Tuesday as well, and we've got obviously we had a home game. 2 home games, of course, postponed at home against Swindon and against Crewe Alexandra. But for Oxford United now, it is a lot of away games, but you have to look at it. Are there any away games where we've got the opposition home fans in the stadiums? There just isn't. So is it the fans? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the change? I just don't know. But it's difficult. It's a really difficult one for Oxford United. Because today couldn't have gone really that much worse. All we really asked for Oxford United today was, we haven't got a great record against Fleetwood, so what you've got to do is you've got to just put your heart, soul, just go for it, I guess, against Fleetwood, and just hope that things turn it, hope that you play at the best of your ability. That's all we can ask for. If we'd got something out of the game, we'd got something out of the game. We could have got something out of the game, but it's just classic Oxford United this season, where we can dominate for 30 minutes, we can dominate for 60 minutes, we can dominate until next Saturday, and we can still probably not score. We had a penalty after 11, I think it was 9 minutes, I think it was, exactly. 10 minutes. When you get a penalty, that is an opportunity for our season really to turn it around. I said it when it was there and then. When you get a penalty, that is the chance really for the season to I guess turn around big time, because when you get a penalty, it's a free shot. It is a free shot at goal. James Henry, usually very, very clinical when it comes to penalties, very consistent when it comes to penalties, and probably one of the most consistent players at Oxford United Football Club. And then you get a penalty. He's captain today. He's got a big responsibility as it is. He then has a huge responsibility to take the penalty and to ultimately change the season around and get an equaliser for Oxford United in this game. And he saves it. It's a poor penalty. It's a really poor penalty. I mean, the goalkeeper saved it, but I think anyone could have saved it. It was poor. It was going to the left, but it went more central. It was a pretty easy save. He didn't actually catch it, but, he parried it out to the left, and nothing came from it. And before that as well, 45 seconds, and we conceded a goal. I mean, how many times can you score after 2 minutes and you not be winning the game? I know we didn't, but imagine that. If we scored in the second minute, even if we scored in the first minute, exactly 1 minute, we would not have been winning the game, because we conceded after 45 seconds. I mean, it was literally like we'd got out of the dressing room and we were still in there. We walked out and we were still in there. We were asleep for the first 45 seconds, which, sometimes you can get away with that. Sometimes you can get away with a slow start. I mean, not a slow start, but I mean a 45 seconds, 30 seconds, let's feel ourselves into the game. Fleetwood came at us straight away, and it's a good goal, but how can you have let's remember as well, we changed the system slightly today as well. We played with 2 holding midfielders, or defensive midfielders, whatever you want to call them, CDMs, whatever you want to call them. Holding midfield is what they're described as, and that's probably the best way to describe them. Gorin and Kelly. Normally it's just Gorin and then 2 players in front of him, or Kelly and 2 players in front of him when Gorin's not available. Today it was Gorin and Kelly and then Ford ahead of him. Now when you think like that, you think, I understand why Kyle Robinson's done that. The reason why Kyle Robinson has made that decision and the reason why Kyle Robinson has done that is probably because he then wants to have those two players protecting the defence. He wants those two players protecting that back four, which has been a problem this season. You know, no one can sit here and say it hasn't been a problem. It's been a problem. We've conceded a lot of goals this season. I brought up the statistic yesterday in the preview when it came out today. I recorded it yesterday. I said it. 3 shots on target and 4 conceded against MK Dons and against Charlton. Today, again, another game where we're conceding 2 goals. We're not scoring goals and we're conceding 2 or more than 2. You know, in the last 3 games, we've conceded 2 goals exactly. We've conceded 2 against Charlton, 2 against Fleetwood, 2 against MK Dons. And I'm pretty sure the game before that was, I think it was Peterborough, and we conceded 2 goals there as well. We haven't actually kept a clean sheet for such a long time, and we're conceding at least 2 goals every single game. Accrington was obviously the game where we only conceded 1. But before then, we lost 2-0 to Sunderland. Before then, we lost 2-0 to Lincoln. 2-0's all over the shop. And 2-0 is a bad result because that's 2 goals conceded and none scored. It sounds obvious, but it's true. We don't look... Well, I was going to say we don't look like scoring. We do look like scoring at times, but we can look like scoring until whenever. But if we're not going to actually do it, then there is no point in mentioning it. And I am bored of coming on here and saying, oh, we had a decent game, or aspects, 30 minutes was all right, but we don't score a goal and they get an opportunity to score. I'm bored of saying that because, to be honest with you, at the end of the day, I'm never going to mention that ever again, really, until we actually make it count. Because I'm making myself look like an idiot every time I say it. You know, it's obvious. When you dominate a game for 30 minutes to 45 minutes over the course of the 90... and you don't score, and they get 10 minutes, 20-minute patches, 5-minute patches, and score goals, that either shows that they're being very clinical, which to aspects they are, or we're just shambolic defensively. And I think it's a mix of I'll say that again, a mix of both of those two factors. Defensively, we look like a problem. And I will also say as well, Fleetwood, I'll say fair play to you. I know there could be Fleetwood fans. If Fleetwood fans are watching this, then congratulations, you got 3 points. And to be fair, you deserved it. And I don't think there has been a point this season, really, where we've lost a game, and I've said, I think we deserve to win it. Other than Gillingham, I'd say, which we also lost 2-0. We forgot about that. We lost that 2-0 as well. But, no, it wasn't. It was 2-1 in that one. But in that game as well, we maybe could have got something more out of the game. You know, on another day, we maybe could have got something out of the game. But we didn't. You know, we had so many opportunities and we didn't score. We had so many opportunities and we couldn't get it in the back of the net other than once. And we had 30-odd shots that game. We only scored 1 goal. I mean, that's awful. That is literally under 5s football, that. You know, having opportunities, getting put it on the plate and you're missing them. You know, the amount of chance we created, it just wouldn't go in the back of the net. Today, it wasn't really that sort of game. It was more of a case of they were better than we were and we looked like we didn't have to play with confidence. We looked like the absolute opposite as we did last season. And I'm looking at the reasons why that could possibly be. I mean, we've lost a big central defender in Rob Dickey, but we've got Rob Atkinson that's come in. And he hasn't been fit this season. He hasn't been fit and we haven't seen him. But we've just again showed today that there are problems in this side that are happening again and again and again. I mean, the goals today came from 45 seconds, and as I was saying, I went on and said something about something else. But we have 2 holding midfielders today, Goran and Kelly. Well, that is meant to be protecting that back line. How after 45 seconds can a second bounce ball come out of the defence? And both the holding midfield are there, and no one gets anywhere near the ball. No one's on second bounce. That is Sunday League and a younger Sunday. That is, again, like I've already mentioned today, that's under 5s football. Second ball. When the ball comes out, you get it out. You don't let the ball bounce twice. Unless you're tiny, like me. But anyway, you've got Gorin anyway. You've got Gorin in that CDM position, he's not a small lad. Kelly is a little bit smaller, but Gorin is a tall lad. He can win a header. He can get a foot in. You know, it comes down, he lets it bounce, he's controlled it. He could have made a cup of tea with a few biscuits, dunked it, drunk it, and then we probably still would have let him have a shot. It was that bad. We let him have that much time. He sort of chested it down. It was like, you know, what's the time, mate? You know, what got for dinner tonight? Chest, bang, it's gone in. We're 1-0 down after 45 seconds. We had enough time to boil the kettle and make a cup of tea, and he did, before he could actually unleash the strike. When we had 2 midfielders in front of him that could have done something about it, but we just didn't. We sort of just let him do it. Oh, it's gone over the bar. It'll go wide. It's 45 seconds. You know, we're asleep. We were literally asleep. We literally came out today like we were asleep, and then we sort of got back into the game. We dominated the ball, and I said to the people I was watching the game with, I said, well, in that game now, this is what we got to win. We're playing okay. We look like we want to get something from the game. We look like we're pumped. We look like we're up for that. We're 1-0 down. We win a penalty after 10 minutes or whatever it is. We cock the penalty up, and then we lose, and then from then we sort of lose Henry in a sense. I think we did sort of lose Henry in that confidence sort of aspect, which you probably would when you're a captain and you've got that responsibility and you miss a penalty for your side. I understand it would be a really sort of, you know, uncomfortable and pretty horrible feeling to deal with. But at the end of the day, he's got, and he didn't really lose his head. I think we just lost that extra bit of confidence where Henry would just, another day Henry could do something unbelievable, and can win us a game single-handedly. But with that confidence loss, he just couldn't do that today, unfortunately, after he missed that penalty. And he looked quite good up to that, but. And then we lose the game, and then we sort of, that half sort of goes away. We go into the halftime break, 1-0 down, and I said to the people, yeah, this is game on now. It is game on. We have got a chance. We could get back into this game. We could, there's been times this season when we have gone 1-0 down against Gillingham. It was 1-0 at half time. No, it was 2-0 at half time. Again, but you know what I mean. We have been down at half time before, and seasons before we have turned it around at half time and gone on to win the game. We were 2-0 down against, it was Shrewsbury, wasn't it, in the last game of the season, last game of the voided season, well, not as voided, but I guess the halted season, that obviously then got us into the playoffs with that 3-2 win. We scored in the 90th minute, and we won the game 3-2. We have turned games around, but the moment you go 1 or 2-0 down, or at least 1-0 down, there's no way back for Oxford United. It just feels like there's no way back. It's like we score after 1 minute, and it's like we've conceded in the 90th minute, and all heads drop, and it's done. The game looks finished. The game looks like we might as well just go home now. Pack your bags, get the coach sorted, let's get out of it. It's literally like that every time we concede a goal early. Or any time really. We dominate patches of the game, and we look like we're going to do something. We don't do anything with it. I keep repeating myself, but we don't. We dominate patches. We look like we're going to do something with the ball, and we don't do it. I don't think any performance today, other than one, can really go out that game going, I think we did. I think I did okay, and I think that was Sam Long. And that's not in a disrespectful way, but Sam Long, for so many years, was not even in that side at Oxford United, and he's come in this season and done so well, and he's got man of the match for me again in this game in a 2-0 defeat. A defender getting man of the match in this 2-0 defeat as well. And again, I laughed when I said Sam Long, and that's not in a disrespectful way at all. But I'm trying to say is the amount of players we've got at this club, the amount of attacking threat we said we had at this club, the amount of actual defenders, like I'm talking centre-halves and fullbacks, actual fullbacks that aren't getting man of the match, but a player that's probably, and I think he'll admit this as well, he probably is a squad player as a right back and has been for a long time. This season he's played in every part of the back line, and he's winning man of the match at centre back. I mean, how can you win you lose the game 2-0 and the man of the match is a centre back? Because we're that bad. We look like we are short of every piece of confidence. We look awful. We look beaten, and I'm probably going to use the title. We look beaten, we look bruised, and we look battered. Another way around. That isn't the way it is, but those are the three words that I'm going to describe this as. Because we were beaten well. They were a physical side. They got on our heads. They got onto the ball better. They looked better than we did. They were more competitive than we were, I thought. I think we were less competitive than they were. I thought they wanted the game a little bit more than we did. They wanted the win. I'm sure we did as well. I'd never say that we didn't want to win the game. Of course we did. But they looked like they wanted more. They looked like they wanted this game more than we did. We looked like we wanted a game. We looked like we wanted to get the 3 points, but they just wanted that little bit more, which is frustrating and so hard to take, because an Oxford United side that we know and have known so well, especially under Carl Robinson and Michael Appleton as well, that is never the mentality. That is always the mentality. Is when you always put that 100% effort in, and you always leave everything you can on the pitch, and that's what we've always said, and that's always the mentality we've gone by, Oxford United. Do I think that slipped away today? I think to an extent, I think it did a little bit. I think we sort of, when we lost confidence, and it's hard to judge. It's a bit like, we've lost confidence, understandably. And when you lose confidence, that can come with it as well. But you lose confidence, and then you lose a little bit of mentality, and you lose the way it is. I think it's hard to be mixed up. When you lose confidence, you don't tend to do very well. I don't think that's less effort. I think that is just a lack of confidence. People didn't want the ball. We were hiding away from the ball. An actual player on our team, a teammate, got the ball, and we looked like we didn't want it. We looked like, oh God, he's got the ball. We looked like we wanted them to have it, so we couldn't have it. You know, they've got the ball. That's all right, lads. At least we ain't got to miss up this, and then we ain't got to cock up this pass. You know, Oxford United always used to be, especially under Carl Robinson with his possession, fast. You know, keep it on the deck, fizzing it across the ball, football style. It was, we all want the ball. We want the ball. It's going to go there. It's going to go out wide. We can put a ball in the box. We can use those attacking fullbacks to, you know. And this season it's been, I don't want the ball. I don't want the ball. I don't want to be the one that messes it up. I don't want the one to. Do not want the ball. Even Anthony Ford, I've given so much praise today. I didn't really see him touch the ball too much. Henry didn't really touch the ball other than when he missed the penalty. He did a few bits and pieces around, but nothing that really changed the game. Matty Taylor won the penalty, but didn't touch the ball in the second half, which is so frustrating. We're going to crack on with player ratings, obviously. I am going to obviously do the ranking show on Monday as well. So the ranking show will be out in the early parts of next week. So I'm not going to dwell too much on the player ratings. I'm not going to explain too much because the ranking show will all explain that. So if you want more in-depth look on obviously, bearing in mind we've got to take the Charlton into consideration and today's game into consideration. 2-2-0 defeats. The chart show, the ranking show, which is very similar to the chart show, but this is called the ranking show, will obviously we'll be taking those two games into consideration as well. So if you're a bit confused, you haven't watched it, and we didn't do the match reaction for Charlton, but we did lose 2-0 in that one, and then we've lost 2-0 in this one as well. So the ranking show is going to be very interesting to see what happens in that one, but you don't want to miss it because I'll be explaining every single decision, how I think Oxford United did, players, individuals, how I think they did in those two games as well. We'll be discussing that. We'll be ranking them up and down in the top 10 of the week. But we will be whizzing through the rankings. I haven't actually, player ratings. I haven't actually written them down. I didn't really take any notes. I think, to be honest with you boys, I think this season I think we have got to look at each other now. Is this going to be the season where we could go down? It's so weird saying that. Going down. Last season, we didn't ever say the word going, we never said the word relegation last season. We never even mentioned it. This season, we could be getting relegated. This season, this is relegation form. This is relegation form. You do not win games and be at the top end of the table for playing decent football at times. We're bottom of the league. So, we're one from bottom because I think Burton lost today. But we're 23rd in the league on results. 23rd in the league. It's not, you're 23rd in the league because of results, but we'll put you up a few places because you play decent football at times. We're 23rd in the league because we're results. That's what you get based on. You get based on results. We're 23rd in the league because we can't win games other than MK Dons and Accrington, which even those games, even MK Dons, we made difficult for ourselves. But I'm not going to look back on those results and sort of say anything about that. I think we did okay against them, but it's so difficult, man. It is such a difficult situation to be an Oxford fan because you just go into games like, is this going to be the game? Are we going to win this one? Are we going to win it? This player's got to be like this. It's just so difficult, but it is what it is, really. We've got to just go again, and it's, rubbish analysis, really. I really do apologise, but it's one of those fan things where it's like, this is the situation we're in. This is what we're dealing with. So this is what we've got to go with. It's so frustrating. It's so just... Literally, it's so frustrating to watch. It's just hard to watch, but we could be going down this season if we don't buckle ourselves in, get those seatbelts on, and say, what are we going to do now, boys? Because it's going to be a very, very bumpy ride, as Carl Robinson said in his preview and in a few interviews ago. He said, we're going to have to strap ourselves in. We're in this together, in the words of High School Musical, and we've got to just take this and take this season and just go with it, because what could happen? We're desperate. We're desperate at this point. We are literally desperate. We've been beaten well in every game we've lost this season. We haven't been played off the park, but we've been beaten heavily. Not heavily, but we've beaten heavily in terms of football at times this season. We just haven't looked great. We just have not looked great. It's frustrating. It's hard to put into words. It's literally seconds after the game's finished I started recording this episode of the podcast. I apologise for that, but what can I say? Player ratings really quickly. Eastwood. You know what? We're not going to do player ratings today. We're going to go do that all in the ranking show because I want to get this up as quickly as I can. We're not going to do player ratings. We'll do that in the ranking show. There's no unbelievable ones. I've said my man of the match. It's going to be Sam Long. I don't think there were any other unbelievable performances from anyone else. Anyway, again, apologies if you sort of, were a bit like... what's he talking about? I'm frustrated, people. I'm very, very frustrated with today's performance. It was not a good one whatsoever. We got absolutely beaten. I'm beaten well, unfortunately, and that's the reality of it is. I could say that this, that, and the other, and we could talk about 30 minutes of the game where we had the ball, but ultimately, we lost the game 2-0 once again. It's the same old story. It's the same old troubles at Oxford United. What can I say? But anyway, thanks very much for this episode of the podcast. Remember, subscribe. We're on the road to 100 subscribers before the end of the year for live content. You can watch my reactions with live watch-alongs. All you got to do is subscribe if we get 100 subscribers before the start of 2021 and the end of this year. Live, lots of things. Live content coming at you left, right and centre next year if we hit that subscriber target. Anyway, thanks very much for listening to this episode of the podcast. It's another defeat for Oxford United. Bring on Tuesday, I guess, at home to Rochdale. But anyway, for now, I'll see you later.